Hemshach to yesterday. Again, it's another topic with Hakel. Another which we touched in the beginning of the year, and we'll look at it again as we conclude the year of Hakel. The Mishnah. Parshas Hamelach Keitzad Matzah Yom Tov Rishon Shel Chag B'Shmini B'Motzei Shvius Oisel Abima Shalaitz Ba'atzor V'Yoshev Ala Shanav Mekeitzah B'Shana B'Moyed V'Goymer.
Where are we?
We're in Daf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, and the Mishnah, it's towards the bottom of the page. You see the Mishnah? Parshas Hamelach Keitzad. So, we spoke this beginning of the Mishnah yesterday. The first day of Sukkot, they didn't do the Hakel. They did the Hakel the second day of Chag HaSukkos, which in Eretz Yisrael was the first day of Chol HaMoed Sukkos. Chazan HaKnesses, Noitel Sefer Torah, Noitel Rosh HaKnesses, Noitel Sgan, Noitel Kohen Gadol, Noitel HaMelech, HaMelech Omed HaMakabel V'Kordi V'Yoshiv. He's supposed to sit when he reads the Torah, the parashas of Hakel. Oh. Sagt die Mishnah weiter. Agrippa Samelach Omed V'Kibel V'Kor Oimed, he was standing V'Shibchu Chacham Cham Mashabeachem Shagir Lelo Tuchel Asach Lecha Ish Nochri. When he came to the pasuk that you're not allowed to put upon you an Ish Nochri, Zolgu Ein of Demois, he cried. Why did he cry? He wasn't worthy to be a king? He cried. Amrullah the Yidden said to him, Al Tisyora Agrippas, fear not. Achinu Ata, Achinu Ata.
How many Jews told him that they had to punish everybody? Not everybody told him that. Few.
Historians bring, I think, from Josephus, I think, that they tried to do a census of the Jews, talking about towards the end of the second Beis Hamikdash. So they had the Kohen Gadol count how many people were there for the Korban Pesach. They came up with some formula of over 500,000 people. There were people there. It was not a 1.5 million in a corner shtibel. There were people there. It was awesome. It was Klal Yisrael were there. The Mishnah says what he reads, and that's the parshas really that what we're reading now in the Torah. Tchila Seil Advorim Shema Shema V'Im Shemoya Asatas Kischala Parshas Melech Baruch Tzakol Shagem Kol Parshas Baruch Shekan Gadol Mevarach Osim Yom Kippur HaMelech Mevarach Hanois, and after he finishes reading the parshas of Hakel, Elo Shenois and Shalagolim Tachas Mechilas Oven, instead of saying at the end Mechilas Oven, he says Regolim.
Right, by you it says Yom Kippur, or you add it as a husband?
I added.
Yeah, okay, so it means Baruch Shekan Gadol Mevarach Osim. What will we have in the Machzah? Like
No. That's that the Gemara says in Yuma, the brachas that the Kohen Gadol makes.
So the Malach says the same thing.
The same, just by Hakel.
But he ends or
instead of saying the words of Mechilas Oven, he says
what does he call them? What is that?
Mekadosh Regolim. Instead of saying Baruch Mekah. Moichel Avonos Amei Beis Yisrael, Baruch Atah Hashem, Mekadosh whatever. He says Baruch Atah Hashem, Mekadosh Regolim, something like that. Something a mention about the Regolim, not about Mechilas Avonos, because it's not Shaykh Mechilas Avonos today. Look at the last 3 little lines of Rashi. Agrippa Samelach, Melech Yisrael Hoy. He was a Jewish king. Mizare Shel Hurdus, he was the descendant from the descendants of Hurdus. V'hu shenechir Beis Hamikdash b'yomav, he was the one that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed in his days.
So he was a Jew.
He was a Jew, but was he a king?
So That's what Rashi holds.
Yeah.
He was a Jew, not in the kingdom, not in the Malchut.
Right.
And he got himself to the Malchut. That's
Yeah. Because he was from the family of Gerim, that's why he was pursued.
Rashi says he was a Melech Yisrael. He was Zari Shel Hurdus, and Hu Shenech Beis HaMikdash Miyad. Tosfos is going to say, we're soon going to turn the page, that Tosfos understands that Rashi holds that his mother was Jewish.
Well, Rashi says in the next thing.
Yeah. No.
She'im al Yisrael.
Right.
Rashi.
Right. Zol gain at the Moshe Mikra the Poislam in Amalchus Achinu Ato She'imay Yisrael. I'm sorry, you're right. She'imay Yisrael, because his mother was a Yid. She'imay Yisrael. Right. So Tosfos is going to be bothered with this. Before we get to Tosfos, there's a lot of historians that talk about this Mishnah. Who was this Agrippa that we're dealing with? Apparently, there were two Agrippas. There was Agrippa the father and Agrippa the son. Agrippa the first, that was a king, was a grandson of Hurdus. Hurdus killed his wife, as Chazal described, or whatever, caused her death, and he was paranoid and sadistic.
Wait, he killed Shimon ben Shattach, right? He was married to Shimon ben Shattach's sister? I'm kind of all confused. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Hurdus,
that was Yanai.
yeah, that's
Oh,
Yanai. That's
Okay.
Yanai. Yeah.
But Hurdus was a Jew. His mother was
So
Jewish.
Hurdus is, if he's Jewish or not, is contentious. Yochanan Hyrcanus converted forcibly the Adoimim to convert to Judaism. So it's questionable if it's a kosher conversion. Hurdus, the Chazal understood by him Eved ki Yimloich, that he was an Eved, and he became a Melech because he was from the servants of the Chashmonoim, and he killed out the Chashmonoim. He became a Melech. He married the Miriam from the family of Chashmonoim, and then he had children from her, and then he made sure that she got killed or he killed her. And he was incredibly paranoid, and he was flamboyant, and he was meshuggah, and he was rich, and he was alazach. But he also rebuilt the Beis HaMikdash in a very flamboyant and beautiful way. And the Kois Lamaravid that we have today is from the construction of Hurdus. There was such a massive construction that in the days of Agrippas, his grandson, when they finally completed the building, the Beis HaMikdash, all of a sudden they had a problem in Yerushalayim because 80,000 people went for unemployment. 80,000 people filed for unemployment this day.
Walking to the best
Yeah, for 80 years or something,
because they did everything by hand.
Even today they say that by all standard it was like
I didn't have all the...
wonder sheba wonders. If you have to build such a building today, it's Pile
I
point.
thought those guys that make the Beis HaMikdash were Goyim, no? That they converted them or something, no? We're talking about...
You're reading something from the Tanakh from the first... the days of Hurdus, that he rebult the Beis HaMikdash. Why?
Say psukim, they grew up.
First of all, there's no psukim, there was no Tanoim, there was already no Nevi'im living for a long time. So... So he has a son, and then he's also paranoid. He kills his son, and his grandson Agrippa with the mother, his shiksa mother. No, he sent them off to Rome when he was 3 years old. A boy that he should grow up in the good Roman fashion. He should be a guta goy, and he grew up a guta goy. He was friends. His three buddies. I'm exaggerating, but I'm just like putting it together, was later turned out to be three kings in succession, one after the other. Tiberius, Caligula, and Claudius. And these were his friends, these were his buddies. Okay, Yiddishkeit, he knew nothing about Jews and Judaism, nothing. Grew up like a true goy in Goysville and Rome. Got into debt. He had no way to pay. So he had to disappear. He found refuge with the Jews in Alexandria. The rich Jews in Alexandria took a liking for him, and they gave him a lot of money. They supported him. He went back. We went for a short time back to Israel. He went back to Rome. They gave him money. They sent the money. The Jews in Alexandria then were very wealthy. Apparently, he once has at a party, he had a slip out of a tongue. He said, "It would be nice if Tiberius would get out of the way and Caligula would become the next king." Tiberius heard about this, so he was imprisoned. And chains were put in his hand, and he was. A little time later, his Gutta Mazel, Tiberius was actually killed, and Caligula became king. So Caligula took him out of jail with fanfare, and he gave him chains made out of gold, the same weight of the chains that he was sitting in prison. He gave him the title of king over a huge swath of land in north of Israel. His kingdom was based out of Tiberias, and he became king. He traveled back to Israel with great fanfare. He stopped the Jews in Alexandria, made a big parade for him, and the Jews were very happy with him. Historians write very, very favorably about him, and they write that the Jews. This guy Caligula became Meshuggah. There's a lot of legends about this Meshuggah that he decided he wants to rebuild Rome. He put the whole place on fire. He was playing fiddle. He was given Sedreit. But the Jews suffered terribly from him because he decided that he was a god, and therefore, in every temple needed to have a statue of him. And for the Yidden, that's a no starter. And the Romans, who was the eternal antagonist of the Jews, and who were the ones that were fermenting this early anti-Semitism. So they erected in their temples statues of Caligula, and the Jews refused, so they used it against the Jews. It was really tough for the Jews. And this guy Agrippa was very shrewd, and he was very smart, and he wrote letters to Caligula, and he was able to get him to back off of his demands. He wanted that ultimately he wanted the Beis HaMikdash to have. That was a no-no for the Jews. He had sent his legions in Syria to go out and war against. This could have been the Churban Achman al-Islam. And the Jews went out en masse. It's described by many historians, and they lay down on the ground. They said, "You're going to slaughter us all before you put an idol in the temple." And he got involved, and he was able to get Caligula to back down. Also, the general, the Roman general, who was the head of the legion in Syria, was his friend. He was able to, in a very shrewd way, Gamliel was a very good friend of his. He became frum, he became Jewish. We find many times in Chazal that Chazal tells stories about Agrippa, and the bottom line is Shibchu Chachomim. The Bikurim, the procession of the Bikurim, the Gemara says that Agrippa Melech, he went, put it on his shoulder himself as if he was a peasant, and walked up with his feet to the Har HaBayis, V'shibchu Chacham. Once there was the Melech has to go first, even if there's a procession with the Kala. Once the Kala, there was a procession for Kala, and Agrippa Melech was going with his entourage, and he stopped to let the Kala go. V'shibchu Chacham. More stories there is about
the nice street in Yerushalayim, Agrippa.
Exactly, right. He deserves to get a street for him. So Agrippa was beloved, and he was beloved by all Jews. Historians tell the story that he came to the Beis HaMikdash, and the chains that Caligula gave him, those gold chains, he donated it. He gave it to the Kohen Gadol, and he donated it for the Beis HaMikdash. So basically, he started to fortify the walls of Yerushalayim. He had all kinds of thoughts about, even though on the outside he was, this is the way the historians understand, on the outside he was a very good friend of the Romans, and he kept on, he had parties and balls, and he had his friends over, but really he was, the actions show that he started fortifying the walls of Yerushalayim. He wasn't in the pocket of the Romans. He really was a very proud Jew, and that's the way historians see it, and that really his whole thing was how to protect the land of Israel. He was at that official king. Finally, when Caligula died, Claudius made him the king of the whole Israel, including Yehuda. He took out his legions from Israel. He was the king of the entire king. He took over the kingdom of Hurdus.
Again, who is his mother?
Mother was a shiksa. So we don't know what his mother is.
So he's not a Jewish.
But maybe she was. It's a Shaila. Maybe she was in the family of Hurdus. Maybe they were Gadim, which was a Shaila, they're Gadus. But the bottom line is, Shikhu Chachamim, Chazal praised him. And he was very close to Rabbi Gamliel, who was the Nossi.
So he's Magayer to suffer?
They don't know.
Don't know. It's not clear. It's
The
not
way
clear.
Rashi says it seems pashut. That's the way he says
Now
it.
we're getting... I'm setting up the story.
Shimon.
I'm setting up the story. He had a son. He died tragically. Only his kingdom was only 4 or 5 years, because it's suspected that the Romans, there was a new Roman head of the legion in Syria who hated him because he was on the side of the Greeks, who hated the Jews, and he hated Agrippa. There was this big, that all the leaders of different countries were invited, and he was invited to this ball. He guessed in the Suda.
This
and
is
then,
Agrippa's the second?
The first.
Oh, the first.
And then he died a few days after the ball. So he was assumed that he was poisoned. It was assumed that he was poisoned and killed. So
that was the end of this guy who did all these things. And
his son was at that time 8 years old. So the Romans said, nah, he can't be king. So they put the legions back into Yerushalayim, and that antagonized many Jews. Even though Chazal were against the antagonists, they said that the Jews should suffer from the Romans and not rebel. But unfortunately, the hand of the rebellion was stronger, and ultimately, 25 years later, or 30 years later, was the Churban Beis Hamikdash. At all that time, there was a quasi-king. His son Agrippa II was recognized by the Jews as a king, but the fact was he was a puppet king. The Romans were back in, the legions were back in. That's why there was constant friction, and ultimately there was the Churban. The Churban by his shame. So if you look in the Tosefta Kipshuta or in many other scholarly works on this period, they say that it stands to reason that this Agrippas in the Mishnah was the first Agrippas, who was a fine fellow, the father, not the son. But Rashi obviously doesn't hold that way. Rashi holds because Rashi has something to say. Rashi keeps on emphasizing. Rashi says, who shenechrev beis hamikdash b'yamav? Why is it important to know who shenechrev beis hamikdash b'yamav? Because there were two of them. There was a father and the son, and the Churban happened in the lifetime of the son. And Rashi emphasizes who shenechrev beis hamikdash b'yamav. Why does Rashi do that? Because Rashi holds that when they said Achinu Ata, it's true. She'imay Yisrael, his mother was Jewish. Now, the first one. Maybe he was Megayer later, a kosher Gadus. It's not clear, but it's for sure not clear that his mother was Jewish, because Aristobulus, his father, who was the son of Hurdus, presumably did not marry a Jewish girl. Why would he marry a Jew? So it's not presumed that his mother was Jewish. The first Agrippas. So even though the first Agrippas was a very fine fellow, and he might have gone through a kosher conversion at some point when he became friends with Rabbi Gamliel, but his mother was not a Yid. And therefore he's be'emes not kosher to be a king. His son might have not been such a fine fellow, and for sure his sister Barnitza was supposed to be a very pretty woman. She wanted to marry Titus. Could you imagine? She wanted to marry Titus. But the bottom line is that his mother was a kosher Yidina. So therefore Rashi emphasizes Agrippa HaMelech Melech Yisrael hoya. Mizari shel Hurdus v'hu shenechre beis hamikdash b'yamav she'imay mi Yisrael. But Rashi wants to tell you that he holds that Imay was mi Yisrael. Why is it important for Rashi to say that Imay is mi Yisrael? So say it wasn't Imay mi Yisrael, and we're going to see soon in Tosfos. Tosfos says if it's true that Imay mi Yisrael, so what did they do wrong? The Gemara says that the Mishnah says, because they gave Chanufa. They gave Chanufa. That's what if you turn the page, look in the middle of the page. At that time, they were in the Schayv clear. Who asked them to chamfa Agrippas? I mentioned this Gemara yesterday. Yeah, I mentioned it yesterday. Who asked them to chamfa Agrippas? They shouldn't have chamfed him.
Such a big punishment.
Rashi says, Afagav the Imam Yisrael. 5 lines from the top and the small lines. Koicha shel hachanufa. Afagav the Imam Yisrael. Ein royal malchus the Eved oya. The Zila Miltza. He was an Eved.
No,
You don't know what chamfa means.
Huh?
You don't know what chamfa means.
Sucking up.
Okay, sucking up.
Chanicha. The love in the Torah. They said.
So that's it. Good. So Rashi at Toysa says, I don't understand. Look at the first line of the big lines of Toysus.
If he's not a Jew.
David Tamua loyme merom ne Torah. Given the Imam Hoyim Yisrael. El mashum the Zila Milza. Kama Shapira Shrashi. Shes Chayvo Chanufa Muetas. Oynish Godel. Such a big Oynish. You know what it means? Chayvish name Shal Yisrael Kliya. In other words, that this was the cause of the Churban Beis Hamikdash. What was so terrible? And his mother was really Jewish, but because his father was not such a shayna yichus, he's not supposed to get maftir. But because of this, the Jews got such a punishment, says Tosfos. Peter Shri Af gave them a perik mitzvahs chalitza, perik cholos gave him Rav Mori the manye Rava Puris the Bovel. וגם הוא שפזין לחדר ועד ברבי מויסי עם ישראל מקרב אחיך קרינה בי. Tosfos says that even though the din is that even if his mother's a Jew and is called Mekerev Achecha, Haina Dafke Gavin is used to Serora Ba'alma. The Linux Serora B'Mosa, the Dashina Semta Soma Lachamela Mekerev Achecha, when the Soma Mesimus Mekerev Achecha from Novinish Mekerev Achecha Tzas, Gonim Misrol, Avamelech, Chose Vishon Olov, Mekerev Achecha Tosim Alachamela, the Kopit Korab Gavimelech, Mamish Mekerev. ממוצמי אובי ואימי מישראל וזוי היסח הנופה של המלך בזרוי של הכדין תוירה והוידה לא ויחזיקה בכך. Tosfos says no, it's not true. Rashi says if his mother is Jewish, that qualifies him to be a king. Tosfos says no, to be a Jewish king you have to have a mother and a father's Jewish. Like in America, you could be a good American citizen, but if you were not born in the United States, can't be president.
Right.
They say they changed it. Those that believe in conspiracy.
I know that Schwarzenegger become big president.
Yeah. So those that believe. That's what we're talking about.
Right,
No,
They
okay.
faked it out.
So,
They
So-
faked it out. Like they say,
So-
like the gators, a false gators.
so it doesn't work. Mikerev Achecha says Tosfos, it's not enough that he's Jewish. He's Jewish, very nice. Very nice. You can put him in Mizrach, you can give him Mafta, you can give him a Kovid, you can give him everything. But he can't be a Melech. To be a Melech has to be Ovi Ve'imim Yisrael. They couldn't do anything about it. בדבר חנוף ובדבר עבר שמחנו לחבר ומחנו ירוס מפונה בין החוש של גירס הקדוש ברוך הוא ואויס העין שלו מטה כאילו אין לרויה right? And then look at the last toys, it's called Amachna, Shishlafar, Shlim, Mokum Sakona. Mokum Sakona Muta, Kahida, Perik Arban Adorim, Ula Ozla, Ardi, Srola, Badi, Trib, Name of Khuzakam, Khat Shachter, Lachabri, Omle, Louis, Yoizav, Devila, Inufora, Labesa Shchit. Mula was traveling with these two Jewish fellows. One guy took a knife and sliced off the other guy's neck. So he said, no, I did a good job. He said, yes, gemacht a gute Schritte. Kosa kamed Rabbi Yochanan. Ula said, Rabbi Yochanan, Dilma chas v'shalom achzik yedei over aveda. Maybe I did a wrong thing because I told this guy, yeah, you did a good job. You sliced his head off. Good.
You didn't make a bracha, that's right.
Amalei Rabbi Yochanan, nafshach itzalta. That you did nothing wrong, because if you wouldn't say anything, it was
You'd be next.
yeah. But here in this case, says Tosfos, they were not under threat. He was crying. He was crying. He shouldn't have come for him. So summarize. Rashi says the mother was Jewish. Imam Yisroel. But Zila b'miltza that the Eved should be a melech, and therefore that was the chanufa. Tosfos says that's too little a crime. Such a punishment for that, such a little crime. The Tosfos says Taka Imoy Givemi Yisrael, but in order to be a melech, he has to be the mother is Jewish and the father is
Full
Jewish.
Jews.
I'm missing something. How was he anyone Melech who wasn't from Yehuda?
So now
What's your question? Repeat your question.
I'm
Who
asking-
appointed him?
They appointed him. All
I
the
said
Melech-
we went through the whole history before. Who
I know
appointed
who
him?
appointed him, but it has to be anyone who'd be Melech who isn't from Shevet Yehuda. Who wasn't that? Wouldn't that be
What?
problematic?
How are you mixing in Yehuda? What does Yehuda have to do?
David.
I can't be from Ephraim, from Don. I can't be a king from God.
I don't know. David and Melech.
Who told you God can't have a melech? God can't be a melech
Is he
from
a Ben
Shevet God?
David? Is he a Ben David?
But you're going into a different avenue. Let's not do that today.
I'm not asking. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't have a king from anyone except the
No, that's not true. No, that's not true.
Except if he's appointed by God, like Yerovam ben Nevat, or like Yehu.
No, that's not true. No, that's not true. The Rambam says that only an eternal kingdom was given to David and Shevet Yehuda, but temporary kingdom could be for.
Okay, so it was a
Now they clarified. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
when the Hashmon Na'im took upon themselves the kingdom, they assumed that they're going to reign
but they were.
forever.
Oh, so that was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's over years. But if you're talking about an individual who's now a melech, if to say he's not kosher because he's not from Shevet Yehuda, why would that disqualify him? If he's going to get onto the throne and say, "Listen, fellows, this is my throne for me and my children's children, until Mashiach comes and beyond," oh, then he sinned.
Okay.
Then he sinned. But if he says, "Listen, fellows, right now you need a king. I'm the king. My father's a Jew. My mother's a Jew. Here's my resume," and they say, "Good." So that's fine. It's Mekerev Achecho. Their sin, the Chashmonaim, was that they took it on them as an inheritance.
that's right.
But the Kilo Tzadover, it was as if it was in the same line of David HaMelech. Okay, so we're back to our question. So again, Rashi says the historians all say that this Agrippas was probably the first Agrippas, who was a very fine fellow. Rashi says no, it was the second Agrippas, which was so. Why? Because Rashi wants to say Imay mi Yisrael, but why does Rashi so kvetch to say Imay mi Yisrael? In the way it would be better if you say it was the first Agrippas and the mother was a shiksa, would have been better. So the Jews really sinned. What, the Rashi is Rabbi Yitzchak Baditchever here, and he wants to. But if their sin becomes so small, so then why were they punished? So before we give the answer, okay, look together here. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of copies. So I'll read it loud to those that don't have the copies. The Rebbe has here a moide de kechidush. The emphasis is hard to understand. The Rebbe says that if you look at the Mishnah never says a negative thing about the story. Later, the Gemara says Tana. The different Mishnah said, but according to the Mishnah, it sounds like it was a positive thing. The truth is, if you look in the Pirush Mishnayos, the Tosfos Yom Tov says that there is a Girs in the Mishnah that says 3 times, Achinu ato, Achinu ato, Achinu ato. Some have the Girs 2 times. He says, what's the nafkamina? If it said twice, Achinu ato, 3 times, he said 3 times is Loshen Chachomim. That means that the Chachamim said it. If the Girs is 2 times, it means the people said it. If it's 3 times, it means the Chachamim said it.
Why was he? If you want to say, you're asking a kasha. Why was he crying then, according to like the kasha? So why was he crying? Why did they have to be do any chanifa at all? What's shot that he was crying according to?
Let's leave
Father's
it.
not Jewish. That's why
It was Eved, it was a Zila b'miltza. Therefore, he's crying because he knows it's Zila b'miltza.
And according to the other
Because he is not Yisrael, so therefore he was crying. But the Rebbe says that no. In the Mishnah, there was a story in the Mishnah, and the Mishnah doesn't say that there was Nischayev Kliyah. So therefore, the Mishnah was, according to the Mishnah, was a good thing, and according to the other Mishnah, was a bad thing. So how could you have such an argument? According to our Mishnah, it was a good thing, because the other Mishnah was a bad thing. It's like a chloikis v'metzias. So the Rebbe says an answer. Yesh loymar shenka machloikis v'metzilus. El meduber, the last two paragraphs. Shnei urois b'fnei atzma. There are two stories. Sharei b'shnas shnois malchus shel Agrippa sayochlis yoisem ha'hakalach. It could have been two stories. V'achiluk shebeineim. What was the difference in the story? B'glal hashinu b'psak din l'chachamim b'hakal zeh l'gabi hakal ha'koidmai. Aderech ha'amor li lo yidus achiluk bein koidem shenifsek ha'locha l'achar shenifsek ha'locha. Yesh lemar abiyur b'shinei ha'psak din l'chachamim b'shnei fanim. Why would they change the psak? In other words, the Rebbe says there were two stories. Once Agrippa did it, and Chazal said he's allowed to be king, and everyone said, "Don't cry, you're our brother, you're our brother, you're our brother," and it was a good thing because really he was supposed to be king. And within that 7 years, Chazal again thought about it and said, "No, he's not allowed to be melech." And then came Hakel, and he said, and he cried again, and then they said Achinu Ato. And then we were punished for it because Chazal changed their mind.
They said something else or only Achinuat?
They said Achinuat. So one pshat that ever says last three lines here. Hashaylahi.
Second Agrippa.
Oh, that way. That's what you're stealing my answer. No, that's not the Rebbe's answer. The Rebbe's answer is like this. Don't worry, I'm happy. Yeah, that's it. The first answer the Rebbe gives is that the question is Benegel Malchus Shel Agrippas. Imo Yoroi Lo Melucha Dekerina Bemekarev Achecha Given the Imam Yisrael Oy Sheimam Yisrael Mahan and Rekla Gab Nesidus V'Serora Ba'alom Mashen Kemelech Shechoza V'Shanu Lo Mekarev Achecha Tosa Malacha Melech Kopit Krat Shir Mamish Mekarev Achecha She'oviv Imam Yisrael. So essentially what the Rebbe is saying in the first teretz is that the first time the Bezin sat and they said, you know what? His mother is Jewish, he's kosher. Rashi's right. The second time they sat around, the Bezin said, no, his father and his mother have to be Jewish. Tosfos is right. So therefore, the first story, he was allowed to be king, because at that time, Chazal paskin like Rashi. And the second time, he was not allowed to be king, because Chazal decided to paskin like Tosfos. That's the first answer that Rebbe gives. Second answer that Rebbe gives is that there's a machloikis if there's no king, if the God La'om, a big person, should get a big Rosh Yeshiva, a Rebbe, a Botzina Kadisha, a Saba Kadisha. So we should put someone on the stage, a big man. Some say that that's fine. The others say, no. You have a Melech, we do Hakel. No Melech, we don't do Hakel. So you could say the first time, he had no din of a Melech. The first time Chazal Paskin, the biggest Rosh Yeshiva will go on the stage. Okay, so Agrippa wasn't worse than the biggest Rosh Yeshiva. He was the best Rebbe that we had at the time. So again, so we put him on stage and he performed. The second time around, Chazal Paskin has to be Mamish HaMelech, and because he was not allowed to be a Melech, so therefore it was a bad thing. Let's finish the Pisa Yeshloim. Shebepam Rishoinu Posko Chachmi Yisrael Shagripas. It's page 315, third paragraph. Pisa Yeshloim. Shebepam Rishoinu Posko Chachmi Yisrael Shagripas Yochel V'Tzorich Likras Parshas HaMelech V'Lachein Hoyze Doverotzei V'Chulei. Aber Pam Hasheni Omdo L'Minyan Posko Shagripas Eino Yochel Likras Parshas HaMelech, either because his father and mother are not both Jewish, or because he's not a Melech, he's so, if you really want, but the time is short, you can give, I was thinking you can give another teretz. You could say one story was with the one Agrippas and one with the other Agrippas. Okay. But here's the thing. Now going back to my question at Rashi. Why did Rashi decide that against all the historians? Sal Lieberman, Mitala Choshev, historians, they decided that it was the first Agrippa, because he was a fine fellow. He gave an Hashem Yid. And Rashi said, no, it was the second Agrippa. But he was just a loser, and he was not. He was very close to the Romans. The bottom line is, he when the Churban was happening, he was on the side of the Romans. So how good was he? So why does the Rashi decide it's the second one? Because Imam Yisrael, because his mother was Jewish. So what? His mother is Jewish. But the Yidden sinned. If his mother was really Jewish, the Chanufa wasn't so big. But based on the Rebbe's Chidush in the Mishnah, I understand. Because the Rebbe holds that according to the Mishnah, it was a good thing. It was a good thing. It was a good thing. So if you would say that his mother, that we're talking about the first Agrippa, even if he was a big tzaddik, but his mother wasn't Jewish, so how could it have been a good thing? How can you tell me it's a good thing? According to the Rebbe's Chidush, that there was two stories here. The Mishnah story was a good thing. And then the second Mishnah was talking about a second story, was a bad thing. Now you have to set the stage. Now you have to, which Agrippa we're talking about? Now, it doesn't matter if it was the tzaddik Yesod Olam, but if his mother wasn't Jewish, we're not at the first base. What do you mean, Bezdin? At what point would Bezdin think that a person whose mother is a shiksa could be a king? It says, Mekerev Achecha. Now, if you're going to tell me his mother was Jewish, so you could say, oh, the first time they thought, as long as his mother is Jewish, he's kosher. And the second time they said, no, we need a father and a mother to be Jewish. Now we could, or you could say, the first time they said, as long as his mother is Jewish, he's kosher. And the second time they said, well, if the family is from slaves, like Hurda's family is not kosher. You could play around. But if you say that his mother was a goy, or not kosher to Gatus, you're never get to first base here. Again, according to the Rebbe's Chidush, that the Mishnah was a good story, and then the second Mishnah was a bad story. Two stories happened. One time they said Achinu Atan was a good thing. The second time was a bad thing. So obviously we have to be his mother was Jewish. Because if his mother wasn't Jewish, it could never be a good thing. If a person is a king over the Jews and his mother is a shiksa, they could never be good. There's no way, there's no lumdus in the world that's going to make it good. Impossible to make it good. It's never going to fit. It's never going to go. His mother's a shiksa, so how could it be good? But the way Rashi sets it up, that his mother was Jewish, okay, so now we could say multiple terutzim. We could say this teretz, the other teretz. So we could say one of the terutzim. You could say again, not the Rebbe's teretz, but you could say in Rashi that the first time Bezin said his mother is Jewish, he's kosher king. The second time they said, yeah, his mother's Jewish, but his father was a slave and a really nasty one. He's from the family of Hurdus. So it's a zilusa, it's an embarrassment to the Jewish people that a descendant of this cruel, he was the most cruel king. I mean, from all, this guy Hurdus was like the most despicable fellow. There's like no historians that will, you know, he was a madman. So yeah, he was geferlach. So therefore, maybe he was rich like Donald Trump, but that. So
In his schut, he built a better.
Oh, he has a schus. He built a Beis Hamikdash, but that's not. The schus is not big enough that his grandson should be a king. So again, now that we say that there was two stories, and one story was a good one, and one was a bad one, Rashi wants to say that his mother was Jewish, because if his mother was not Jewish, then how could it ever be good? So therefore Rashi says his mother was Jewish. And now we could say that one story was good and one story was not good. One second. So therefore, as I said yesterday, it's a gewaltige thing. If you think about it, the Churban Beis Hamikdash came because the Yidden, they gave Chanufa. They gave a false compliment. They were dishonest compliment. They said to Agrippa, you're a good guy. You're a good king. And where was their fear of God? But what was so terrible in this crime? The crime is like this. The whole idea of Hakala is once in 7 years, the Jews visualize that the king is the messenger from Hashem, and he's giving them and reminding them of the giving of the Torah the first time at Mount Sinai. And now this guy is not worthy to be a king, because his father is a goy, or whatever, or a slave. He's not worthy to be a king, and now you're complimenting him, and you're saying Achinu Ata. You're not scared from God. You're not scared how God is going to think about you. You want other people to think nicely of you. Well, God will think, everybody Shalom can think this way or that way, but I want to compliment someone else, so the other fellow will think good of me. But the Rabbi Shalom is not going to. And this turns the whole Hakel on its head. The whole idea of Hakel is for Yirah Shamayim. The whole point of Hakel is to instill Yirah Shamayim. And now they turn it on its head, so therefore they got this terrible punishment. As I said yesterday, Chazal say when we get rid of the cause of Golus, we're going to have the Geula. So if the cause of Golus was Sinas Chinam, we'll have Avos Yisrael, we'll have Geula. Same thing here. The cause of the Golus was that they had a hakel, and they gave Chanufa, and which was they did the wrong hakel. They did the opposite hakel. So what's going to be the tikkun before Mashiach Tzidkenu is going to come? We're going to do the right hakel. We're going to take a bottle of schnapps, and we're going to come home, or a bottle of Coca-Cola, and we're going to put it on the table, and we're going to call we're going to hold the family, wife and kids, or friends or associates, or our neighbors in the building, or neighbors in the block, or the workers that we work with, or our customers, or our suppliers, or our friends, and we're going to say, listen, there's 34 days left. Today is Chov Vavov. There's 34 days left for this incredible year called Shnas HaHakel, and the Shnas HaHakel is L'man Yishmu, Man Yilmudu V'Yoris Hashem Alekechem, and that and every man is a king in his castle. Every Yid is a Man Malki Rabbanon. Every Yid is a Melech in this world. So therefore, we want to impress on the world the importance of Yiddish Shemayim and the importance of Har Sinai. L'man Yishmu Man Yilmudu, and there's 34 days left for the year of Hakel. And then the Rebbe to him, the year of the Hakel was a very important thing. So the Rebbe shall hope in these 34 days that we should make our own Hakel. Starting in ourselves, we should make a Hakel with our Eser Kerches and Nefesh, and then we should make a Hakel with our family and our friends. And the Rebbe shall hope from the schus of our Hakel that we make to encourage other Yidden to do Hakel, that the Rebbe should make the big Hakel of Kol Gadol Yeshua Ve'einav Mashiach Tzidkenu.